Morning, everyone. We're going to start right off singing. Please turn to your hymnals to number 360, Here We Have Gathered. And please rise in body or spirit as you are willing and able. Okay. Yeah.
So this one's pretty familiar, I think. I'm just going to do the last two bars.
Welcome to this morning, this day, and this opportunity to be together in community, which is a time of joy, comfort, and sometimes challenges. This Unitarian Universalist congregation is a place where we come to learn about being human. We're not here because we figured out life's questions or because we think we've got it right. We come here to learn more about being in relationship together, how to listen, how to forgive, how to be vulnerable, and how to create trust and compassion in one another. My name is Greg Johnson. I'm the service leader today. 2 weeks ago, we engaged in our unique Unitarian Universalist ritual of the flower communion. For those who weren't there or aren't familiar with it, the flower communion was created by Norbert Čapek. He was the founder of the Unitarian Church in the former Czechoslovakia, as a way to bind a diverse group of people more closely together. The members of his congregation had all come from different religious backgrounds. All had questioned the dogmas into which they had grown up, and through their seeking came to discover Unitarian Universalism. I think that story will resonate with many of you, and it certainly sets the stage for our speaker today, Jamie Barnett, who will share his story of questioning, some of his religious upbringing, and I will properly introduce him later in the service. I want to thank Tycho for providing the music this morning, Walter Floschka for running tech, all of the people watching on YouTube live. Hello. Susan for the programs, James for leading our Sunday services groups, our hospitality team, and many, many more. I don't have any announcements that have been submitted to me, but I know a few people wanted to say a few announcements. Wendy.
Everyone, I just want to remind you that we are still in the process of writing thank you notes for our successful Faithify campaign. Thank you, I've got them in here. They are in the back on a table. If you would like to grab one at the end of the service, there's a little template to give you suggestions on what to say. We've got about 30, which means we've got about 60 more to go. So we really appreciate everyone who wrote last time, and we would love to have help the next couple of weeks. Just jot
James.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to give everyone a heads up about the summer service series that we're doing. So if Sunday Services Committee has sort of reflected on past summers and decided that this summer we're doing a sort of, what are we calling it, the Soulful Worship series. So our Sundays are going to look a little bit different because our attendance is historically significantly lower, and we're going to do basically a series of Soul Matters group reflections. So if you've never been to Soul Matters, it's kind of a facilitated small group reflection on a series of questions. And so each week we'll have a different facilitator and a different set of questions. I think the themes for June, the theme for June is freedom, and July is resistance, or vice versa. And so it's really great experiences. How many people have ever been to Soul Matters here? So you've been, they're really fun. I mean, they're really rewarding, I would say. Fun is maybe a different word. So I encourage you to come and try if you haven't been. It will still have a lot of elements of the regular service. There will be some hymns. There will be, the chalice light and the share the plate. There'll be music and then coffee after. So it's a good way to stay connected during the summer while also kind of stepping back into a more reflective posture. We will have Reverend Sarah in the middle of the summer, so we don't forget how a regular service works, on July 7th. July 6th, which is the same day that we are doing our annual summer barbecue. So mark that on your calendars as well. And then we'll get back to regular services in August. So if you have any questions, you can reach me at Sundays@UUCO or just talk to me. Thank you.
Also, if you have a joy or a concern you wish to share with the congregation, please fill out one of the grief, gratitude, or growth slips and add that to the offering basket that will come around during our offering later in the service, and I will read that after that. So I see a number of visitors with us this morning. Would anyone like to make some introductions? Some people that I know of, the Jordans, I was hearing some good singing on that first hymn. I appreciate the good voices. Oh, wow. Wow, even technology is introducing some visitors for us today. This is amazing. So. Oh, yeah, no problem.
No, we might be interested in hearing.
Or you speak Spanish.
Soon we'll all be more machine than human anyway. I'm only slightly kidding. Well, we're glad to have you all with us, but now is the time where we all get to meet. If you don't know people here, let's now turn to the people to our left and right and greet our neighbors. And if you do not wish to be greeted, you just place your hand over your heart and we'll respect your boundaries. So take a few moments and everybody catch up and greet each other. I gotta be the bad guy and break this up, y'all. All right. It's like a bunch of great people here. No wonder we want to keep talking. So, there's always the end of the service. We can, you don't have to run off. You can stay and continue to mingle and catch up. So these hands that you just shook, these fists that you just bumped, these arms you just hugged, once held the hands, bumped the fist, and hugged the necks of great and ordinary people. Labor organizers, founding mothers of this congregation, civil rights activists, amazing bakers, you name it. Hand by hand, we just touch those who are here with us, those who are no longer with us, and hand over hand, we touch all humanity. As an archivist, seeing attacks on our nation's libraries, archives, and museums, these words by Julie Conradi serve as this morning's chalice lighting. We light this chalice remembering the freedoms long established in our nation: freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom from the establishment of religion. We light this chalice honoring those who exemplify protecting those freedoms: librarians, booksellers, teachers, authors, journalists. We light this chalice so that by its light we may read all the books, books with archaic language, books with offensive material, books which affirm the diversity of the human race, books which normalize our varied sexualities, books which share multidimensional perspectives of history. May we bask in the glow of its light this morning as we illuminate, brighten, and radiate because of the books we have read and the books we have yet to read. Marion Franklin Ham wrote the lyric to the hymn we're about to sing almost 30 years before Unitarians and Universalists joined to form Unitarian Universalism in 1961. These two denominations didn't just spontaneously merge, but were the result of decades of conversations of like-minded folks. This hymn was sung by Unitarians and Universalists in their first meeting together as then new Unitarian Universalists, UUs. And it was literally sung right as the last votes were being counted, affirming that the two different denominations were merging into one new one. So if you will please stand, and we're going to sing hymn number 145, it's Tranquil Streams.
This one, I don't think we've ever done this before, but this one, so I'll play it for you. As you are seated, we're going to do a responsive reading. It's going to be number 652 in the back of this hymnal. I will read the non-italicized portions. You all read the italics portions of the text. Give me just a second. Everybody get to turn to it. This is 652, the end in religious instruction. The great end in religious instruction is not to stamp our minds upon the young, but to stir up their own.
Not to make them see with our eyes, but to look inquiringly and steadily with their own.
Not to give them a definite amount of knowledge, but to inspire a fervent love of truth.
Not to form an outward regularity, but to touch inward springs.
Not to bind them by ineradicable prejudices, but to our particular sect or particular notions.
But to prepare them for impartial, conscientious judgment of whatever subjects may be offered to their decision.
Not to burden the memory, but to quicken and strengthen the power of thought.
Not to impose religion upon them in the form of arbitrary rules, but to awaken their conscience the moral discernment.
In a word, the great end is to awaken the soul, to excite and cherish spiritual life. Our offering each week is evenly split between our congregation and an organization of our choosing that is doing good work in our communities. The recipient for this month is the Gordon Community and Cultural Center, which serves the citizens of Lafayette County by providing educational programs for youth in the form of its Abbeville School Educational Summer Enrichment Camp, and for adults by providing legal clinics, job opportunities, and career development through the 2020 Vision Trade School. Please give generously. There is some in there? Oh, okay. They're hiding. There it is. It's hiding. This is from Mary Kay Hahn. Please send out positive thoughts for Angie Brummett's family, whose house and barn were damaged and horses escaped the electric fence once it was off. The trees fell, part of the roof landed on in the treetops, bees were lost. Also healing for her brother Michael and his wife Betsy, and positive thoughts for Tom, who suffers from financial loss from the California fires. Anyone not, some people might not have known to fill this out. So if anyone has a grief or gratitude you wish to share, feel free to express that now. Yes.
It's just a small joy, but I mentioned last week, my daughter Emma got into grad school at Columbia, so she will be doing that, and that was kind of her goal years ago, because they had the program she wanted, and rock on, Emma.
For all of the gratitude and grief and moments of growth that remain unspoken, I drop a couple for those as well. Abu Ben Adem,
may his tribe increase. Awoke, that's the meaning of that, awoke one night from a deep dream of peace, and saw within the moonlight in his room, making it rich and like a lily in bloom, an angel writing in a book of gold. Exceeding peace had made Ben Adem bold. And to the presence in the room he said, "What writest thou?" The vision raised its head, and with a look made of all sweet accord answered, "The names of those who love the Lord." "And is mine one?" said Abu. "Nay, not so," replied the angel. Abu spoke more low, but cheerily still, and said, "I pray thee then, write me as one that loves his fellow men." The angel wrote and vanished. The next night it came again with a great wakening light, and showed the names whom love of God had blessed, and lo, Ben Adem's name led all the rest. Our speaker today is Jamie Bennett. He is a retired Barnett. Sorry, why did I have that? I'm like, that didn't sound right as soon as I said it. Barnett, sorry. He is a retired rear admiral in the U.S. Navy, having served 32 years with duty in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait during Desert Storm. He served in the Pentagon as Director of Naval Education and Training, and then as Deputy Commander of the Naval Expeditionary Combat Command. He was a partner in the D.C. law firm Venable LLC. He is now an adjunct professor here at the University of Mississippi in the Center for Intelligence and Security Studies. He's married to Oxford native Celia Barnett, a retired public school teacher. I'm not sure who has had the roughest time, Jamie, you or Celia. Public schools are no joke. Yeah. It's hard out there for teachers. As someone whose entire family has been educators and whose dad served in the Navy, I thank you both for your for your service. So now I'd like to bring Jamie Barnett up to give the message.
Well, thank you, James and Greg, and Tycho, thank you for that beautiful music, and to all of you for the opportunity to speak to you here at UU Congregation of Oxford. My wife Celia and I have gotten to attend here once before with our friends Gene and Jerry Jordan to hear their friend Patty Henry, but it's been some years since we've been here. We're aware of your good works at UUCO, and C and I used to be part of UU congregations in Arlington, Virginia, and in the Mount Vernon community there. So thank you for this invitation. So I've always been fascinated, perhaps invasively curious, about how Mississippians and Southerners evolve to become liberal or progressive, or how they start swimming upstream to be religiously divergent in a society where conformity and groupthink are safe and also so enforced. So perhaps you were born somewhere else, or you come from a different tradition, but most people are not, that I've known, have not been born into the UU Church, and many of them get started in another faith or denomination. So regardless, you chose to be here, and perhaps not where you started. How many other people started in a different faith or denomination? Yeah, so that's been my experience. Well, I was born into a very Baptist family in a very Baptist town, Clinton, Mississippi. My father was chairman of the Board of Deacons, and my mother was the head of the WMU, the Women's Missionary Union. Clinton is a town that has a Baptist college, and there were 4 pretty strong Baptist churches, one fair-sized Methodist church and a struggling Presbyterian church. My one Catholic friend had to leave to go into Jackson to take Catholic Mass. Now, Celia was born into an Episcopal family, but there was no Episcopal church in Clinton when I was born. And so there was just not a lot of diversity of thought, not religious diversity of thought. And if you visit Clinton, you're in danger of being baptized. So. So my message to you this morning is about how I escaped, how I broke free from religion in incremental steps through my life, and finally arrived at spirituality instead. It's just one story, it's my story, and it's not unique. I'm sure most everyone here has their own story. I describe myself now as a non-Christian, spiritual, liberal humanist. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but my journey starts with the poem that Greg just read. And I pronounce it Abu bin Adam, but it may be Adam, I don't know. Abu bin Adam is by Leigh Hunt. He's an English romantic poet and essayist of the late 18th and early 19th century, very much part of the Enlightenment thinkers. My sixth grade English teacher, Mrs. Stokes, assigned each member of the class, to choose and memorize a poem. And I chose Abu bin Adam from Louis Untermeyer's Golden Treasury of Poetry, which my grandmother had given me. I think I chose it because I liked the illustration of an angel next to the poem, but I also chose it because it wasn't too long. I'm sure that Mrs. Stokes did not realize that she had set me on a path to apostasy and humanism. Leigh Hunt drew his inspiration for the poem from Arabian and Sufi lore, replete with religious emblems and symbols that actually end up promoting a heretical theme. An Arabian sheikh is woken in the night by an angel writing in a book of gold the names of those who love the Lord. And Abu bin Adam asks if he's listed, and the angel tells him, no, you're not. So Abu asks, well, record me as the one who loves his fellow men, and then the vision vanishes. The next night it returns with the list of those who God loves most. And Abu bin Adam's name was listed first. And I don't think it was because it was alphabetized. So the poem advances the astonishingly liberal concept for the time that it was written, that loving and serving other people is the equivalent of loving God, of being blessed. Now, I didn't understand that aspect until some years later. So this is just another instance where I've been a slow learner on religious and spiritual matters. On the other hand, I had to wade out of the quicksand of religious dogma and 20 centuries of misinformation and manipulation. So let me pause and say that I'm not here to criticize anybody's path. Many people find holiness and inspiration in the major religions. Sometimes it's the only thing that's available for them to hang on to. But religion, which nominally glorifies love and truth, has been used to control, to manipulate, to persecute, to justify oppression and suppress truth and science in all ages, including this one. Christianity in particular has a lot to answer for, and it is not answering for it. I'm continually concerned about the level to which theocratic thought and Christian nationalism is creeping into our governance. Well, back to my Baptist youth. In ninth grade, I became aware that most of what Baptists believe was so they wouldn't be confused with Catholics. So even though Catholicism carried Christianity for, centuries until the Baptist Creed. Baptists don't have creeds. They don't like them. Baptist principles got started about 400 or 500 years later. I didn't really understand it. I tried to leave the church, and my deacon father talked me down. Well, then I came up here as a freshman at Ole Miss. I went to First Baptist Church in Oxford one Sunday, and after the opening hymn, the pastor, his name was Wayne Coleman, and then the minister of music, James Coleman, both stood up, resigned, and walked out in the middle of the service. I found out later that the church was debating an open door policy. In other words, whether First Baptist would allow black people to worship there. Now, the minister supported the open door policy, but I was a freshman. I decided I didn't need that turmoil at my freshman year in college, so I didn't go back, but I went to St. Peter's Episcopal Church because my fraternity at Ole Miss was founded by an Episcopal minister. And I thought it was beautiful, and also Celia was there. And I found a holiness and a reverence in the Episcopal Church, in the Episcopal liturgy, that I found totally lacking in my Baptist churches that I had experience with. So I was an Episcopalian for over 20 years, and God was magic and interventionist for most of that time. One day in Mississippi, though, I was listening to Mississippi Public Radio, which I think is now Mississippi Public Broadcasting, and there was a Christian theologian on critiquing, really criticizing Mormonism. He said there are a number of things such as, Mormonism doesn't really follow the teachings of Jesus. It's a made-up religion. Its Book of Mormon is just fabricated story about an angel and a golden tablet. And the religion keeps changing as the elders add or take to or alter the doctrines and covenants. Well, I thought to myself, every criticism this guy makes of Mormonism could be said of Christianity too. So being a lawyer, which I admit to, I decided to embark on what I call the cross-examination of Christ, applying the rules of evidence to Christian orthodoxy. And Christianity didn't come out that well. Starting with the Bible, and here I'll get into legal stuff, but you can't bring hearsay into court. In other words, you can't come in and testify, well, I heard someone say this, or there's a document somewhere. So that's hearsay. But there are exceptions to that, and one of them is ancient documents. The court will allow ancient documents to come into evidence. But with the Bible, which is ancient, none of it was contemporaneously written. None of the purported authors actually wrote the things that are under there. And for hundreds of years, there was no authoritative copies. As a matter of fact, there were scores and scores of different and divergent texts. They didn't agree with each other. And clearly the language had been altered and added to and adulterated along the way, including a good bit of the things that Jesus said that he didn't. Even the Christian, I call him Christian skeptic, Thomas Jefferson, created his own Bible. And he stripped out all of the things that he thought were added to what Jesus said. And then part of this cross-examination of Christ, I studied the Jesus Seminar, the biblical scholars who combed through the historical record without the purpose of biblical apologetics. And they came up with a very different view of what the scriptures were. And it was not the Word of God. You can learn from the words of the man Jesus, but the Word of God can be wielded against you, to oppress you, to oppress and judge others, because it came from God. So one of the major steps for me along the path was to see Jesus as a man and not a God. Now the literalists will say, but Jesus said, I'm the Son of God. Yes, he also said he was the Lamb of God, but he's clearly not a sheep. So as one of the members of the Jesus Seminar, Marcus Borg, said, in analyzing what Jesus actually and most probably said, he said the teachings of Jesus could be summarized in two principles. One is that God is love, not law. And number two, pull down all purity systems, all systems that justify yourself. But Christianity has forever since done just the opposite. It establishes laws which you must follow or you will not be a good Christian. And those laws become a purity system, justifying its members, self-justifying, and excluding those that do not think that way. And then, of course, there's all the magic stuff, the impossible stuff, which I grew tired of hearing was metaphor when it was being used to frighten people and to oppress them as though it were literally true. So Christianity offers everlasting life from eventual God, but there's no money-back guarantee. So for a while I considered myself Jesusian, not Christian, not magic God. And I did all of this in secret because I was not sure how my very devoted and spiritual wife would react to my apostasy. One day in 1998, I told her, I don't think I'm a Christian. And I was bowled over when she said, I have questions about Christianity too. And that's when we started exploring UU. It wasn't until I was free from religion that I could really explore what I thought about spirituality. I had to be free of God's purpose for me. I believe that the basis of all religions is the human need to deal with our mortality and also to deal with the pain of living and the search for meaning. The major religions answer with certainty. Love certainty. Don't you want to be certain about things? But they also provide community, and that's the major reason religions have been successful. It's the connectivity. All humans need community. We've evolved in community. We cannot survive otherwise. And now that is where I find the divine, in connectivity. I can't really quite go with the phrase that we're all one, because you're a unique individual and so am I. But I do believe that we're all connected, and we're connected to life, and we're connected to nature. And that is where I find the spirituality and the meaning. I may not be able to relate to every individual person, but I can honor the connection, I can honor nature, and I can care for the other people in my community. I find spirituality in connection to people and to nature. And now that I'm not clothed in the righteousness of religion, I can be much more cognizant of my own problems, and the problems I cause for others, aware of my own personality defects, the people I've hurt, some major mistakes that I've made. I don't ask forgiveness from a silent God, but from the people I've actually hurt. I don't confess to a priest, but to a therapist. Therapy is part of my belief system. So let me escape from dogma and write me as one who loves his fellow men. So we started with a poem, and I appreciate Greg reading it. But let me finish with one that I wrote in 2001 to express my feelings and discoveries, throwing off a lifetime of religion. Worship no God. Worship no God who wants your praise. Deity so weak as to crave some sign is not worthy of your lays, a deity which is not divine. Worship no God whose prophet's word commands unreasoned, blind belief, fantasies biased and absurd. The prophet is your worship's thief. To what altar shall we bear our need to render adoration? Respond with gratefulness and care. Protect and honor all creation. Worship God as creation might, as the roebuck worships the glen, and as the stars worship the night. Worship as eagles worship the wind. Turn from the altar, turn, leave behind the prophet, the praise, and the laud, lest your worship, soothing and blind, prevents the discovery of God.
Thank you so much for that message. I think a lot of us probably resonate with a lot of parts of what you just said. I remember for me growing up, in high school, I was trying to get enough money to buy a bass trombone. It was too expensive. I started working part-time night shift at a Meridian Public Library. And while there, working in the circulation desk, I came into contact with just shelving books. You come into contact with so many things outside of whatever you're specifically looking for. It's probably why librarians do so well on Jeopardy, typically. You have very broad knowledge, maybe not deep, but I came into contact with a lot of certain Christian mystics first, and then I started reading. I remember reading Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha and started questioning, seeing other religions, and like, wow, things are a lot broader than the little Protestant denomination that I grew up in. No shade on my denomination, but yeah, the world was much bigger than I had been told. Our closing hymn today is going to be hymn number 159, This Is My Song. Please stand as you are able and willing. 159.
I'll do the last two bars.
Okay.
You should click. It's a pretty simple.
extinguish this chalice flame, may the warmth of its light remain with us, guiding our steps and our hearts. Let us carry forward the strength of this community, the courage to speak truth, and the hope that transformation is possible. In each breath we take, may we remember that the work of love, justice, and healing is ours to continue, both here and beyond these walls. Go in peace with the light of this gathering to illuminate your way. And now we will say our closing words. Go in peace, believe in peace, create peace, be peace, and stay for a piece of conversation.